What up, YouTube? You already know Big Lou tapping back in with What It Do with Big Lou, NMZR2, baby, baby. If you haven't already and you're watching this video or any of my videos for the first time, it'd be highly appreciated if you sub, like, and share. Also, be sure to tap in on this Thursday, the 10th of November. Um, it's going to be Pacific time, 3:30, and I'm going to have a special guest on, Harvey from Harvey Talks Prison. He's from the Midwest, Missouri, did 29 years of his life on a life sentence and was released 6 years back. So he's going to tell us a little bit about getting there as a young man, um, and struggles and some of the things he went through, and then how it was transitioning back into life. I apologize about the noise. I'm at the tire shop getting the screw taken out of the tire of the SUV, and it is what it is. People got to do what they got to do, man, and YouTube's got to fit in where it gets in, right? Fits in where it gets in. So, shout out to Rasa Business. He went ahead and dropped a comment in the video or little short or the post that I had dropped in my community section about Blood and Blood Out and my cousin Jimmy Narvaez from Dakota. R.I.P. Cuz, one love, I love you. And he reminded me about the movie The Principal, and he's like, hey, yeah, the homies from Oakland were in the movie, East Oakland, 38 Locals, the homies, and it dawned on me, and I forgot my cousin Mota Rob is in the movie. I went ahead and dropped it in one of my shorts. He's the one that circled, his face is circled in red. He's got the shades on like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a little something on the movie now. It's gonna be a short video, probably 5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. So the movie Principal was shot in 1987, right? Um, Crime thriller action film, and it was starring Jim Belushi and Louis Gossett Jr. and also Tommy Chung of Cheech and Chong. His daughter, Ray Dawn, was also in it. Ray Dawn Chung was also in it. The movie was written by Frank Deese and directed by Christopher Kane. It was filmed in Oakland, like I said, at Northgate High School in nearby Walnut Creek. Um, so it was a couple different locations, and distributed by TriStar Pictures and Panavision. Belushi revised his role as Rick. What was his last name? Latimer. Latimer, I think it was, in 1991. Different films, Abercarast and Guardian of the Universe. Um, let's see. Let's give us some other information. So it was released on September 15, 1987. It's 109 minutes running, so that means it's an hour and 49 minutes. Obviously, it's in English. The budget was 11 million, and the box office they made 19.7 million. So kind of close to doubling their money there. So a little bit about the plot on the movie is: after spotting his ex-wife Kimberly in a bar one night with her attorney, alcoholic high school teacher Rick Latimer instigates a fight with him, culminating in Rick bashing the hapless man's car with a baseball bat. Rick is arrested for the incident. Finding that Rick's behavior is tarnishing the school district's image, the Board of Education decides to transfer him elsewhere and send him to Brandel High, a crime-ridden and drug-dominated institution where unruly kids are sent after being expelled from other schools. Initially, Rick is just as lost and incorrigible and hopeless as the students of Brand X, the nickname that everyone diversely calls the school. Believing he can repair his image by cleaning up the school, Rick has an assembly and declares his intentions. No more. No more drugs. No more running in the hallways. No more being late to class. During his speech, Victor Duncan, the leader of the school's dominant gang, appears, derides Rick in front of everyone, and walks out. This sparks a small riot, which earns Rick the enemy of teachers and Jake, the school head of security and a graduate of Brandel, which is Louis Gossett Jr. character. Rick manages to enforce his policies, getting rid of the drugs being dealt in the bathrooms and clearing out the hallways, but not always successfully, as the students are now forced to go to class. Some of the more unruly ones become increasingly disruptive, including troublemaker White Zach, who eventually attempts to rape one of the teachers, Miss Orozco, who is played by Ray Don Chung. She throws a chair through one of the classroom windows, which alerts him, and that something's wrong. He then rides his motorcycle onto the school hallways and chases White down. Right, beating him unconscious and stuffing him into a trash can. Victor, meanwhile, continues to assert his influence on the school, going so far as to brutally beat Emil, a former member of the gang. Right. Uh, when Emil warms to Rick's teaching style and actually starts learning, Victor hangs him by his ankles in the school. Rick is also ambushed and beaten while Victor's gang defaces his motorcycle. Arturo and his friends in the shop class repair the motorcycle and paint El Principal on the gas tank and on Rick's helmet. And those are the homies. Those are my cousin and his boys from 38 Locals. My cousin's not the tallest one. He's the second to tallest. The tallest one is the homie Treetop, Big Surge, right? He's the tallest one. Big Surge is about 6'3", maybe 6'4". My cousin's about 6'1", 6'2". But they're all choloed out back then, right? Um, let's see. After a confrontation in the lunchroom, Victor threatens Rick, which is Jim Belushi's character, the principal, Vladimir, warning him that if he shows up the next day at school, he's going to die. Rick scoffs and walks away as Victor continues to threaten him. The next day, after classes are over and been dismissed, Victor and his crew show up and sneak into the school. While Jake goes to chain the doors, Rick discovers that Victor's crew has cut the phone lines when he tries to call 911. A game of cat and mouse ensues. Jake gets locked in a storage closet by one of Victor's crew, while Rick hides in the girls' shower room with the baseball bat, waiting for Victor. After a brief chase, Victor and JoJo ambush him while holding Rick at gunpoint. Victor orders JoJo to cut him, but JoJo refuses, telling Victor that killing Rick will bring down the crew. Victor shoots JoJo in the head, killing him. But before he can shoot Rick, Arturo intervenes and strikes Victor with Rick's baseball bat. The distraction leads to a showdown in the school halls between Rick and Victor. Initially, Victor seems to have the upper hand, but Rick overpowers him and beats Victor senseless, throwing him through the schoolhouse doors. You got to keep in mind too, Victor was a high school student, and Jim Belushi's character Rick was a grown man. So it was even though dude had the upper hand, it was it was a little bit, it's a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Rick's beating of Victor greatly shocks the rest of the school because this guy was such a bully, and it was his way. He ran that gang, and he ran a lot of the stuff going on there, the criminal activities, the extracurricular activities such as dice games and things like that. You know what I mean? Several students cheer Rick on, much to the chagrin of Rick's gang members. After a small fight breaks out, Rick again declares no more, which stops the fight quickly. The police finally arrive, and Victor is arrested for murdering JoJo and taking away a student. The Rivers League asks Rick, "Hey man, who the hell do you think you are?" Rick responds, "Yo soy el principal. I'm the principal, man," and he rides away on his motorcycle. Um, so, like I mentioned, Jim Belushi was the principal. Rick Latimer, Louis Gossett Jr. was the head of security. Jake Phillips, Ray Don Chung was Mrs. Orozco, the history teacher. Michael Wright was Victor Duncan, gang leader, drug dealer. Reggie Johnson was JoJo. Jeffrey J. Cohen was Zach White. Zach Malby. Kelly Minter as Trina Lester. Isao Morales as Raimundo Remy Rojas. Uh, Troy Winbush as Baby Emil. And Jacob Vargas as Arturo Diego. Anybody don't know, Jacob Vargas went on to play a lot of things, and he's still in a bunch of things now to this day. The principal was moderately successful commercially, grossing a total of 19.7 million domestically. Um, um, so the movie, it was the typical. It was the typical, it was the typical movie, of a high school that's in the neighborhood, the hood. Like we've heard of so many different stories like this in L.A. and New York, different movies like The Substitute and Stand and Deliver, you know, uh, Dangerous Minds, all these different movies. It's a similar, a lot of the similar, the scenario, the plots. The kids grow up in a ran down neighborhood, drug infested, gang infested, single mothers, um, wino fathers that are in and out the joint, deadbeat dads, Rolling Stones, however you want to call it, and it's the same typical story, man, and it shows too in these same stories, and all, even the kids, even though the kids are from the hood, they still want to do good for themselves, they still want to go to school, they want to finish school, they want to get out and get a job, you know what I mean? But it's just a typical school, and it just shows too that just because these teachers work at in the ghetto, in a ran down school, doesn't mean that they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Me, even myself, the schools I went to, they weren't ran down, but I had issues, as far as like, because single family and just defiancy, things like that. But there was teachers that cared, man. I remember Mr. Cummings. I remember Mr. Morales. Um, I just remember different teachers that actually cared, man. They go out of their way to help you out, do whatever they could for you that was acceptable. You know what I mean? But anybody, if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. The Principal. It's an old movie. It's over 30, 35 years old. It was filmed, like I said, it was released in '87, so it was filmed sometime in '86 or '87. It's Jim Belushi, the brother of John Belushi from Saturday Night Live. Louis Gossett Jr. Everybody knows who he is. You should. If not, he's been around forever. Probably 6 decades. He's probably been around the 6 decades of films. Filming and movies and TV shows, commercials, whatever. Well-known actor. Also, like I said, Ray Dawn Chung is the daughter of Tommy Chung from Cheech and Chong. She's in it. If you don't know who that is, by me saying that, she's the one that was in with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. He was the girl that she ran across in that, and she plays in this as Mrs. Orozco, a history teacher. Again, another teacher that cares, and she was helping out Jacob Vargas, in the school, and so yeah, go be sure to go check that out. With that being said, thanks for your time, people. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the views. Thanks for the support. Thanks for all that. And then some. Big Lou tapping on out.